Hi, welcome to Biblecast. This is Rolando, and I just wanted to say thank you. Thank you for tuning in. Now, we've been going through the Bible, and we have selections from the Gospels, we have selections from Isaiah, and we have selections from the writings. And I wanted to talk about why that is. First, let me say there are different programs that are available that you can go through that will help you with your spiritual discipline of reading through the Bible and connecting with God in it. For example, if you go out and you buy, let's say, here you go here, get this right here, like a nice daily Bible, and you go through here, something like this will take you through its entirety. You follow through like it says, you will get through the Bible. You have 365 daily readings. It's that one out right there is a chronological order program, and so it's a wonderful thing to have in your library, a wonderful thing to go through. I've gone through it at least twice, and I've gone through the Bible on my own preceding that. But if you've never gone through the Bible and you want to go through in a year, I would say that daily Bible in chronological order, 365 daily readings is probably a good one. And there's an investment of time for that. Just like with anything that's worthwhile, it will require something of you, typically in terms of some response at the very least. The grace of God is given, but it requires your will to have an effect in your life. If you will accept, or you will decline, obviously. So when it comes to the spiritual disciplines, and specifically for us reading the Bible through, it's good to know that it will require something of you. That typically a robust spiritual life with God just doesn't happen. You don't just wake up in the morning and everything's great, robust, enriched, completely to the max spirituality. Typically that just doesn't happen automatically. It doesn't usually just drop on you. You just wake up one day and bam, you're spiritual. Usually there is some amount of work that's involved, some amount of time, investment. And one of the reasons for us here at Biblecast sharing this time together is we want to help you in going through the Bible and going through our track that we have. We'll be going through cycles. And right now, the cycles that we are going through are typically three viewing cycles together. We go through a selection from the gospel literature. We're going through a selection from the prophets. Going through a selection in the writings. And that's fitting like something similar to what you may have heard in your own devotional life or your own student life in the Bible, of the law, the prophets, and the writings. Here we're interjecting not necessarily just the Torah, but we're going through the gospel literature, and we're digging through the prophets. And the reasoning for that is I don't want any of us reading through here necessarily to get isolated in one particular text by itself. Now that's good in its own time, but for the purposes of our read-through, we're going to approach it in a rounded fashion, with the expectation that after a given length of time or a longer period of time, we'll become more rounded in our appreciation and application and understanding of God, deriving from, let's say, the Gospels, the prophets and the writings, the law, the prophets and the writings. And typically, that way at any given moment, let's say any given month, let's say we go through and you make an evaluation on any given month, and any given month will have significant, or at least significant exposure and read through all we'll have exposure through all the categories, major categories. So at any given month, it's not like, only thing I've been going through in my Bible reading discipline has been the letters of Paul. That's good. That's good if you're doing that. I'm just saying that for our application, we won't be kind of parked there, but we'll have a broader range. And there are some pros and cons to this. Some of the pros is that we'll have a wider range, a very broader appreciation within our text, a broad appreciation from our text coming through in our devotional, academic, and in application and understanding. One of the cons is, if you even call it a con, but I just suppose maybe it'll be easier to say it this way, is that you might not be necessarily so specialized, in what you might need. But what I'm trying to do here is, this isn't like, if this is your only, and I don't want to think that, but if this is your, this has become, maybe reading through together has been kind of like you're really busy, and hey, well, look, let's just pull this up, and I hope to God, if that's all the time you have, it's just a little snippet of time, then going through with us here will be a blessing to you, because we'll be going through, and at any given time that you come in and you view, that we'll be going through writings from Proverbs. I mean, we can all be blessed by that, and then you'll be reading together from Isaiah, and such strong and profound dealings recorded for us out of Isaiah, of God's heart, what's going on there, very strong, and you need the fear of God in that, and you can't go through the book of Isaiah without having a sense of the fear of God. And so you go through and you're like, man, wow, God really said this? He did. It's be a very different kind of a feel, if all you're going through is, let's say, Proverbs, one chapter, every day, and that's all if that's all your Bible reading consists of, you might be really good on that aspect in terms of the wisdom of God, and your wisdom is more fine-tuned, and you're putting that into practice. Maybe a little bit different there, but if you have some time with Proverbs, but then you're also having some time with Isaiah, it helps to kind of enrich your appreciation, your ground in the Bible. And likewise, for a great long period of time, all I really wanted to read out of the Bible is something out of the New Testament. Just even though when I first got saved, I did start in Genesis. I mean, I did get started in Genesis, but I eventually parked in the Gospel of John. But at least this way, when in any given month or any given 2-week bracket, you're able to have the exposure to journey through not just one selection or one aspect or one genre of the sacred literature, but you'll have the Gospels there with you. You'll have the writings, be it Psalms or Ecclesiastes, Proverbs. You'll have a selection from the prophets, and I think that in evaluation in, let's say, a 2-week bracket, a 3-month bracket, what's going on in a year, that if that's the way you approached it, you will at least have a good fair amount of exposure, and I hate to say familiarity, but you're more in track with the comprehensive presentation of God and His message to us in the Bible. This is in line with the whole helps us understand the part helps us understand the whole in our approach to the Bible literature. And so you may find that from our time that you want to go ahead and build on your own track. And what I could say in terms of building your own track is you could try to rush some things and say, let's just go ahead and I want to read through I want to go through all the Gospels and finish all the Gospels 3 times over by the end of the month. Now, that will work for some people. That might not work for others. And at the same time, sometimes having it work for you right now isn't the best thing, because you just not only want to have an assessment or evaluation of what's going on in, let's say, 1 month, but you want to see what is your spiritual discipline or your appetite and diet for the Bible. What is that looking like, at the end of the year? How is that in 4 years? And that is for those of us who've gone before the Lord for a number of years. That's really a serious consideration. What is the evaluation after 2 years? Maybe it was great. You had your hour in the morning, for 2 years. It was pretty good. Maybe even for 4 years. So you had, maybe a different program and it was working good. But how does that look like, 4 years? Is there a way to evaluate the progress or not? And hopefully here, while our selections are obviously kind of small, a chapter here, maybe a chapter and a half, or maybe less than a chapter there, it's not presented necessarily to it's not presented necessarily to have someone become an expert on the spot that week, But the expectation is that within a duration of time or assessment of time, that you would at least have gone through. Because sometimes we have these expectations of ourselves, maybe, or others have of us, that we're going to do X, Y, Z, and then you fail, at getting a large portion of your to-do list, checked off or something like that. And when it comes to spiritual discipline, sometimes what happens is people get discouraged because they don't stick with the program. And maybe their program that they're on, you could say it's a case of willpower, shame on you, because, you just don't have the willpower to make things happen in your life, and so you deserve to fail. Maybe that's so, maybe that's not, and but from our vantage point, what we're doing here is we're starting out very light, Some of you are more skilled, some of you are more mature, some of you are have your own program set up already. You're doing, let's say, 3 chapters a day and 5 chapters on Sunday, and you're going through the Bible, every year, and this is like your 5th year through. Kudos for you. God bless you. And that's great. And I know maybe you're doing the chronological order with 365 daily readings, and you're starting off in the very beginning, and you're like, I'd like to get into a little bit of like the Psalms now, or I'd like to be able to read through a little bit of the Gospels, but I'm not on that program. Well, obviously from our track, we're doing selections that will have us journey through. It'll take us longer, obviously if you just evaluate within 2 weeks, it'll take us a lot longer to go through sizable portions of the Gospel of Mark than someone who's reading through in a chronological order, kind of a program, and they're already finished, maybe. That may be so, but at the same time, we are also building up in our diet for the prophets and the writings, and it will take some time. It's a little slower, but I think that it's a broad base kind of program that that would be refreshing to some, who want to be able to have a broader base, and it also be a fine course of instruction for others who have no previous programming in their discipline, that they could go ahead and say, okay, well, I'm going to go do something. At least this way, it doesn't get isolated in just one text necessarily, but has a broad base to begin with, which I think that within a 4-year assessment would be pretty good. Well, I want to thank you. So I know that we're going to have a good time reading through. God bless you in our time. God bless you in your time, meeting with the Lord, reading through His Word. Take care.